What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting across from me this week and every week, he's not scared of zombies because, well, zombies are scared of him. It's Desra.
They're not scared of you. They're just have social awkwardness.
So zombies are me?
Well, yeah. Brian Paul.
Hey. And just, as we already mentioned, this is Why We Love PlayStation VR. And every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we dip into the PlayStation VR archives. We pull out a game at random. Definitely not random, I promise you. We actually do work for this thing. Yeah. And then we pull it out. We play it for a little bit, and then we talk about it. The point of the show is to give it a little bit more attention and find out if it deserves some love or not.
And we're breaking format a little bit this week because we're talking about a game that's fairly recent.
We break format every other week.
Yeah. So this is kind of newish game, but we did want to talk about it because when it was first announced, Brian and I were both very excited. It's like, wow, this is a really unique and interesting game mechanic, and that, of course, is Stifled.
Oh, I did research for the wrong game.
Oh,
damn it.
Okay. So Marvel's 2.
So this game is Stifled.
Stifled, yep.
It's that black and white one, right?
Well, partially.
Okay.
Black and white and red all over.
Awesome.
It's a newspaper.
Actually, that's true.
Yeah.
It's black, white, and red.
It is.
Okay, so Stifled is an interesting game, right? That's came out Halloween this year, 2016.
It is,
October.
Which is nice timing. I mean, how many horror games have just either a little too early or just missed it? They actually nailed it right on Halloween, so.
It came out with Dead Hungry.
Yeah, all right.
Which I gotta say, this game is infinitely more Halloween than Dead Hungry. But Stifled, interesting concept, and let's just get that right out there right away.
Yeah. So of course, it's a VR game because we're covering it here. But for most of the game, it's a black screen, unless you make sound. Sound creates this kind of wave pulse that sort of illuminates the world around you. So
that's done through the PlayStation VR microphone that's sitting this far away from your mouth.
Yep.
So don't breathe heavy.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, you can calibrate at the beginning. So if you want to cheat, you just calibrate and be as loud as you can when it wants a quiet noise. Little Des tip for you there. But no, if you just do it, calibrate at the normal speaking voice, just whispering, even moving around in your actual physical space, button presses, I found out, they'll actually trigger it, which is really important because there are enemies in the game that are attracted to the sound. So you have the awful choice between, okay, I don't know where I am, but to be able to see where I need to go, I need to make noise. But if I make noise, that thing over there is going to come kill me.
Because making noise is sort of like an echolocation system. You're playing as a blind man, or either that, or you're playing as a bat, or possibly a dolphin.
Yeah, or.
I don't know if we can keep that in.
Oh,
because that is absolutely a total spoiler.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna.
Oh, that's right. This is kind of old. Yeah. So all right.
I'm gonna mute that entire section. Everyone's just gonna see you talking and not saying anything. Yep. Anybody who can read lips out there, Des just spoiled the game for you.
Sorry.
But this isn't. I was fascinated with the concept of this game.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't original. And here's the reason why it wasn't original. Mm-hmm. There's been other games on other platforms that are similar to this to varying degrees. Something that came out fairly recently was Perception on PS4 and Xbox One. Mm-hmm. Very, very similar idea. You're making noise and you're kind of lighting up your surroundings so you can sort of see what's going on. And even this team, Gitai Games? Gitai Games, they were a group of students over at DigiPen, the Institute of Technology in Singapore. And their student project that they put together over the course of 6 months was a game called Lurking. Now, Lurking, if you watch, the trailer's playing behind us.
Hey, that looks familiar.
Doesn't it look just like Stifled? You know what? It basically is Stifled. It has the identical visual style, identical game mechanics, even the microphones used, and even the enemies kill you in the same way. It's all very, very similar. But they decided that they wanted to make a full-fledged game out of this thing.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, again, we can't stress more that this is a really cool way to set up a game, especially a horror title.
Yeah.
because you get to the situation. If you are the kind of person who does kind of startle and scream when you get scared, you are screwed. Because, of course, oh my God, what's that? Oh crap, I just said, what's that? Oh my God. And then you're dead.
Yeah.
Because you were reacting to being scared by being loud, which makes you get even more scared, which is fantastic the first time it happens.
Yeah. And in fact, when I was testing this game out for the first time, I encountered my first enemy, and I didn't know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Right. So the great thing was in my live stream, I had some, people watching, and one of those people watching was Polish Paul, your VR dude.
Hey.
And I love this guy, but he's got a wacky sense of humor, and he decided to screw with me on my very own live stream. And so the monster came close, and he said on the bottom of the screen, he said, "You have to scream as loud as you can to scare the monster away."
Okay, high five, Polish Paul.
Seriously, high five, Polish Paul. And so I even took a vote. I was like, "What do you want me to yell?" And everyone was like, "You should meow because it's game cats." And so the enemy's coming close to me, and it's coming running at me because I'm like making a lot of noise, and I start going meow 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 meow, and it just kills me.
That's awesome.
Not so awesome because Polish Paul was laughing his ass off, and I was like, "You got me on my own stream, dude. I never trust that guy again."
That's awesome.
But you're right.
I owe you a beer or beverage of your choice if you're out here in Worcester.
Meow, meow, meow. Oh God! At that point, you got to laugh at yourself. But so this is a tale of two games.
Yes.
There are two very distinctly different parts of Stifled. There is I'm going to call it the Gone Home walking simulator section.
Yes.
You walk around. You can pick up almost everything in the house, and some of it's very inconsequential.
Which, annoyingly, though, does keep kind of the same mechanic a little bit. Because instead of being all black and white, you can't see anything, in many of there's like this fog that fills the room. So this was kind of one of my first annoyances with it. It's like, okay, let me just explore the space. Because I don't want to have to sit here. There is a button you can do, just do a sound pulse. But I found myself just sitting there like whistling or talking to myself just so I could keep the fog away. So I could do the exploration and, find the bits and pieces and put together the story.
Yeah.
If it's not actually part of the, let's say, combat or exploration mechanic or that scary part, maybe we don't need that so much.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, it's fair. I felt like the fact that this section of the game is all colored in and fully rendered.
Yeah, that was
not wireframe graphics. I felt like that was a big enough distinction enough to keep it separate from the other one, but also letting the fog roll in reminded you, hey, you are blind.
Right.
Or whatever. And but the other
I've been chastised.
But the other game that is kind of meshed together with this is the black and white wireframe sections that we were talking about originally, where you do have to make noises, where you do have to see your surroundings, and then it is inhabited by enemies that want to kill you, and so you can't make noises, or the enemies will find you.
Right.
But if you don't make noises, you can't see what's around you.
Right. So the solution to this, and I guess so. Here's my question. You want to know if you're gonna like this game or not?
Oh God.
Get a pile of stuff like tennis balls or rocks or something, and put them in front of you, and just grab one and throw it. Then grab the next one and throw it. Grab the next one and throw it, and just do that, 16 or 17 times.
Or for about 3 hours.
Yeah. So if that was entertaining, then my God, we have a game for you. So you're given objects in the space. They're rocks. At one point, they're headphones.
A lot of headphones.
Ironically. Yeah, a lot of headphones on this ship. But yeah, you can use those to, one, create a sound wave far away from you so you can see what's down the hall, but also to distract and attract the various creatures and monsters who are trying to kill you.
Yeah.
So that's basically your only weapon or the only thing you can do.
Yeah. So you kind of hinted at this. You kind of hit the nail on the head a little bit. It's a gameplay mechanic that is very intriguing, very interesting, almost fun at the beginning. It keeps the suspense high. I remember like one of the first bigger areas I got to. I was crouched down, and I was like, at this point I was figuring I was just kind of crouched through the entire game because if you just walk, you're like thum 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 making noises. So I was just crouching, moving my way along. I knew there were a few enemies over in the distance.
Yep.
And I encountered a river.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter if you're crouching or not. If you go through this river, you're going to splash the
Yeah.
crap out of it, and you're going to attract things your way.
Which is nice, because one thing I was going to say, like, developers, if you're making a game where stealth is part of the game, which is totally fine, don't make it so that if I'm crouching, nobody can see me. Because then all I'm doing, like I said, is I'm crouching through the whole game.
Right.
And this isn't stealth anymore. This is just, I found the magic, you can't see me switch.
Yep.
That's not stealth.
Yeah, in a stealth game, there should always be parts where it's impossible to be stealthy.
Right, and they did solve this. You have the water issue. So, you can crouch if you want, but you're still going to make noise when you're going through water areas.
And there's also gigantic cranks you have to turn, which are very, very noisy. And so you have to do that in segments and always have a rock by your side. Always be ready in case a bad guy's coming.
Right.
To send them in a different direction.
Yeah.
The problem is, and I almost hate calling this a problem because this is a gameplay mechanic I really enjoy. This is something different, something that, especially in VR, I felt like worked really, really well.
Yes.
But this game, as far as that aspect of it goes, is very much a one-trick pony.
Mm-hmm.
So I always, no matter where I was, as long as I was in a black and white segment of the game, if there were rocks, I was just picking them up and throwing them way ahead of me.
Yep.
And eventually I just had rock piles everywhere, and I'd get to the pile of rocks and I would just throw all those way ahead of me too. Yeah. And then I'd walk further and throw to the point where, like, I wasn't even scared of an enemy showing up because I had so much crap around me to distract it, to get it out of my path, so I could just walk right around it.
And not only that, the multiple enemy types, there's really not that much variation.
What are there, three? Maybe four?
Three that I can recall.
Yeah, I can
and then
only
there's
think of three.
kind of the stuff at the end where you're kind of getting hit, but you really can't do anything about it.
So let's go with three.
So there's, well, and I don't know if this is a spoiler, but there's one you can see.
Yeah.
There's one you can only see when you're making sounds, and there's one that you can't ever see. How about their attack patterns? Their AI, any different?
Not that I could tell, really.
No. The noises they make and the character models are different, but that's it.
And the biggest problem isn't that the AI is not different or that the attack patterns aren't different. It's that the rock throwing mechanic still is the only way to get around these things.
Yeah.
And the thing you learned right away to distract the enemy is this thing that works until the very end of the game.
Yeah.
There's nothing new to learn as far as gameplay mechanics go.
And I think that's where we get the problem. It's a really interesting, really unique gameplay mechanic that it's kind of like, we have one great idea and we're just going to make a game based on that. And that'll be enough, right? And it turns out it's not. If there was, maybe if there was actually a difference, like, this enemy here is just not going to be distracted by that kind of stuff. Yeah. And you have to, run through or who knows what else. I'm not a game developer. I'm just a guy who sits here, points fingers. But the point being...
You certainly have the easier job.
Yes. Oh, yeah. God knows I could never do half this stuff. But, that's not what we're talking about. I'm not talking about Dez's failures. The point being is, like, it sounds like such a great idea. It's a horror game. Like you said, the first couple minutes you're in this, it's like, wow, this is great and tense. And even for Dez, who's like not a huge horror fan, I'm like, all right, I can get behind this. But then, the next thing you know, you're just kind of crouching around hallways with a rock pile in front of you.
Right.
And that's the game.
Now, one of the inspirations that Gatai Games talked about was 2014's The Unfinished Swan. Now, The Unfinished Swan is kind of... have you played this?
I have not played this.
PlayStation 3. You've never heard of it before. Now, on PlayStation 3...
I know what a PlayStation 3 is, damn it!
You're going to get tweets about this. So maybe Sony will send you a PlayStation 3. They're like...
No, don't. Like, I don't have room for the stuff I have.
I have 2 extras laying around if you'd like to see what they can do. But
doorstop?
That's actually what 2 of them are being used for. But The Unfinished Swan was the complete opposite of this game.
Okay.
It was an all-white world.
And be as loud as you want?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what you were able to do was you were able to hurl black paintballs.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Now you remember
I've
this
heard
game.
It, yes, yep.
And so you were kind of like constructing the world through this simple gameplay mechanic.
Right.
But that gameplay mechanic evolved.
Yes.
Like every couple stages, every couple levels, you learned something new you could do, a new way of like exploring this world, new powers that you had. And Stifled, you never gain powers, you never lose powers. In fact, the beginning of the game feels very much like the end of the game.
Yeah.
So,
Well, so at one point I came across, at the beginning you have these very small rocks. A little bit later, there's very large rocks. I'm like, oh, maybe these are hard for me to pick up, so I can't throw them as far.
Yeah.
Nope. No, you can just pick up this rock the size of your torso and throw it just as far as you threw the little pebble.
It seems to go just as far, yeah.
Yeah, it's just even that. Okay, maybe these different the different things I carry, maybe it's something smaller that I can only throw and it doesn't make as much noise or something.
Now, I mentioned earlier this is a tale of two games.
Yes.
This episode is actually a tale of two episodes because you just witnessed the first half of the episode where Brian goes, boy, this game really sucks.
Okay.
Now, the second half of this episode is going to remind you very much of the Here They Lie episode last month. Good stuff. Go check it out. Where I stop pooping on this game.
Okay.
And I start telling you how much I really liked it.
All right.
Because despite the fact, remember last week we were talking about Bound?
Yes.
And how it's kind of a walking simulator, but it's got platforming elements.
Yes.
Well, Stifled has a very similar situation going on. Stifled is a walking simulator, but it's also a rock throwing simulator. and I got to enjoy both of those parts quite a bit, even if one of those parts was very, very repetitive. It wasn't the longest game I've ever played. This is probably like a 3-hour game.
Yeah.
So right around the time things start getting old and you're like, okay, I'm ready for this to be over. Guess what happens? It ends. Maybe Des found that moment to come a little sooner than I did. But the point is that I enjoyed almost all of my time with this game, and I will say that despite the fact that Des tried to spoil the end of the game for you.
Sorry.
That's okay. I muted you. Unless I forgot to edit this, and I apologize to everyone at Gatai Games. The deal is that right around the time you feel like you've discovered everything, and the fact is like during those rendered environment areas where everything's not black and white, and you can pick things up, and you can read documents and read computer screens, like even things that seem inconsequential, like little objects, you just look and go, "What's this teddy bear doing here?" All of that actually pieces together a story.
Right.
And in fact, there's two endings to this game. One of those endings, it's actually you literally select yes or no on a computer screen, and one of them just brings you to the credits, and one of them actually prolongs the game for another 5 minutes and gives you a much bigger glimpse into what the whole experience has been about. And being able to cap the end of the game and give you that final impression, the way they did it with the true ending, it's sort of like if I stopped this game like 2.5 hours in and didn't see the ending, didn't experience the ending, I didn't climb up onto the rooftop and saw this big dramatic thing happen, and then like everything went crazy, and then I saw the stuff that I saw, and then I would have thought of this game much differently. I would have left a bad taste in my mouth. I would have said, it was repetitive and it was okay, and there were some things to read, but the more documents you read, the more things you pick up, the more you examine, and the more you get into the lore of the game, and then you choose the right ending, and you see it through to the end. I got to be honest with you. I feel, and it's a little left up to interpretation.
Sure,
but there was some tugging at the heartstrings at the very end, where you're witnessing what this has all been about, and when you put some of the pieces together and you start going, oh, is that what happened here? Is that the life I'm living? Is that what the life of these characters? Is this everything we've experienced? Is this what it did to them? Yeah. Like, I'm kind of tearing up right now thinking about it. I gotta say, like the storytelling, while I was playing, I didn't think it was all that good. But when everything gets tied together so well at the end, I was like, man, these guys actually had a plan and they followed through with it, and they expected you to finish the game to really feel for these people.
Yeah. So I mean, I can grant you that, but
the gameplay is still repetitive. I'm not lying.
Yeah. So for me, on the other hand, like I tapped out. There's this one enemy type who I wasn't giving you a hard time, by the way. Yeah, no, and rightfully so. The audio design is weird because at one point it's like, oh, that's a really interesting sound this enemy's making that's weird and creepy. Like, I was playing it and my daughter was in the next room. She's like, can you turn the TV off? Because that's creeping me out.
Yeah. By the way, headphones, put them on.
Yes.
Scary games, especially one like this. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
But the problem with it is like, oh, that's really creepy and interesting the first 3 or 4 times you hear it. Yep. And then it's just nonstop the same. You're like, oh, that's the same audio file just over and over and over again. At one point, this may be a spoiler or not, the creature you face is just a woman screaming. And it's this blood-curdling, awful scream. And the first time you hear it, it's like, holy crap, I'm terrified again.
Yeah.
But then it just keeps going. And it keeps going every time you make a sound. And I was just, you know what? I'm done. I just, you know, I don't want to hear people screaming. And so my moment of, you know, because like you said, I'm getting about tired of this. Oh, great. That's just the time the game's over. For me, it came out earlier. And it's only because of you guys that I actually powered through. But so I guess for me, when I hit those same emotional beats, I was in a very different place. I was in the, just end. Please, God, just end. So, you know, I'll be honest, thinking back on it the way you framed it, yeah, they're probably, you know, I was in a bad emotional state to be really giving my full attention to it. But yeah, they do really wrap up nicely and make you, the player, ask some hard questions about what you're doing when you're playing the game. So yeah, I'll grant him that. But for me, just the actual game itself kind of derailed me from enjoying that part of it.
You know what kind of makes me a little crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Stifled has won so many awards. And most of it were awards in development when they're showing it at different trade shows. Mm. And so these are people giving these awards are people who are like, hey, I tried your game out at the show for like 10 minutes and I gave an award.
Right.
And so it's funny that the thing that I loved most about this game is something it didn't get an award for because the game wasn't out. And no one saw that ending, and no one got to experience it the way that I did. What it got a lot of awards for was the thing that we kind of gave a hard time about, the repetitive rock throwing sound making mechanic.
That's the thing. If you're at a game conference, you got this demo for 5-10 minutes, you're not going to get that sense of, oh my God, over and over and over again.
So when you hear people talking about how great this game is, they're actually talking about our least favorite part of it.
Yeah.
Which
ask them how long they played it.
Yeah. So when you're reading reviews or even watching my review, I didn't touch on these things because they're a tad spoilery.
Yeah.
And also shout out to JD who clued me into the fact that there was more to this game than I thought there was. Because I clicked that option at the end. I was like, oh, credits, done. It's like, interesting. And I was like, all right, time to write a review.
Right.
Now.
So did it restart for you?
Well, the first time, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, and then I clicked the other option, and bam, I got the real ending.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very good.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those. Okay, well, that's getting spoilers, so never mind.
So that's it. That's Stifled in a nutshell, and it launched again on Halloween.
Yeah.
Very recently. $20.
$20.
And so when it comes down to our review scale of 1, 2, 3, one being. This is a game you have to go out and play immediately. It's worth every penny. Look at this, I'm taking control.
I know, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out here.
It's worth every penny. You should definitely show this to your friends. It's a showpiece for your PlayStation VR. That's number 1. You know what? I want to come up with a graphic for this. Maybe I'll do it for this episode. Number 2 is, it's okay.
Yeah.
You should check it out, but most likely if it's on sale or free on the PlayStation Plus, like Bound was, but it's worth a look for sure.
Absolutely.
And then one of my favorite lines of yours: friends don't let friends buy junk. Don't do it. Not worth your penny. Don't support these developers at any rate.
Yeah.
Wow, this felt good. I like that.
That was nice.
Yeah, now I know what Jeremy feels like every time I make him talk about Patreon page. Patreon.com/withoutparolegames. Give us $1 a month and we will love you forever. So what do you rate this game?
So
Oh, you God, this isn't going to go well.
Yeah, I have a hard time saying 3 because I think it is well put together.
Yeah.
It's not crap.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some serious problems with the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Not in that, like, again, the game mechanic is really cool, but we need a little more. I think that the plot that's put together is pretty well done. So I'm not going to give it a 3. I'll give it a 2. If if you like have a burning desire, wow, I really need to check this out, or if it's on sale, or you got an extra $20 burning a hole in your pocket, first subscribe to us if you haven't, and then if you still have money left, then go ahead and pick this up.
They could support us on Patreon for 20 months for the cost of this game.
Seriously,
20 months.
Yeah.
You know what? Don't buy this game. Support us.
Yeah, I cannot in good conscience give it a 1, but I'll give it a 2.
It sounds like you could barely give it a 2.
Yeah, I almost said if you have a friend who already bought it, play their copy, and
So this is going to be a little strange because we did rag on this game quite a bit this episode, but without hesitation I'm giving this game a 1.
Okay.
And the reason is because I'm a survival horror fan. This game, maybe not so survival horror, because I'm more of a fan of the Resident Evil series than
Give me one rock per level. There we go.
You know what? If the rocks were like maybe sparser,
right?
And maybe you couldn't find them so easily. Like maybe the pathways were more narrow,
right,
and there were only a few select locations you could stand to kind of like get out of the way of the enemies.
Right. If I had to choose, like, can I risk running? Because I have this one rock, I don't want to lose it.
A run button would have been nice too, right? Yeah. So there were things they could have done to make this game even better. But for me, it's a 1 because I like survival horror, even though this isn't survival horror totally. This is more Clock Tower than Resident Evil, but people might call that survival horror. Everybody's different. I can't keep up with all this stuff. But I'm a horror fan. I like the horror genre. I like horror video games, and then this game did something unexpected to me. This game took more of a Gone Home turn than I even expected at the beginning, because the end of Gone Home, I will tell you, is one of the best endings of any video game ever. And man, the things that it did to my head on the way to the end was pretty amazing. The thing that this game did to my head at the end was also pretty amazing. In getting there, maybe 80% of it was a lot of fun. It was 20% where I was like, but you know what? This is a $20 game.
Yeah.
It took them 3 years to make it. I love supporting small teams like this.
Yeah.
They credit 6 people on their website that are members of Gutai Games.
Okay.
I'm sure more people helped in the development than that. But this is a small team, and these are people that are making the kind of games I want to play, even if they're not perfect.
Okay.
And so it's a 1 for me for all of those reasons. I don't know. It sounds pretty good to me.
It's again, I maybe part of it too is like, you build up this anticipation. This game's going to be so amazing and awesome, and then it's not. So, it's funny. I was just, as you were talking, I was thinking. There's the quote. Life's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
Right. This game, I think, might be the opposite.
A little bit.
It's just the destination is kind of what's important. So if that gameplay had been a little less repetitive, and there was a little more creativity put into the continuation of the gameplay, I would definitely be more on your side.
Yeah. A little more diversity in the enemies or something. I could see that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Just something to keep my interest a little more, so I wasn't, by the time you get to that big sort of reveal at the end, you weren't just do.
But that's why I love this show.
Yeah.
Because you and I are so diametrically opposed to the games that we actually enjoy that there's very seldom we're going to totally agree on a rating.
Spark.
If you right, if you just loved if you loved horror games as much as I did, we'd be like, this game's fantastic. It's a 1. All right, end of episode. So it's really cool to be able to see 2 different perspectives on the same game.
Okay.
That said, click like, because you like 2 different perspectives on the same game.
That said, this is last episode, and you're fired.
All right, you guys. I think that pretty much wraps it up for another episode of the Why We Love PlayStation VR. I don't even know what show we're on anymore. Make sure you comment. What's up?
So I was going to say, I think we still have time.
For your AMA?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Comment below with your AMA questions. Tweet at Desra. Literally at Desra.
Definitely. If you want to make sure I see it, tweet me at Desra, at DEZRAH. I do try to check the comments, but I don't have it I don't get auto-populated because it's not my channel.
Very good point.
Yeah, so I will
just post on the Patreon page. We
Yep.
we will have a post up there for everybody's AMA. Post there, nice and easy.
And a reminder, you can ask me whatever questions you want on Twitter. You don't have to be a Patreon member, but if you want to see the answers, ask them to be Patreons only. So
$1 a month, patreon.com/withoutprogames. All right, for another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR, I'm Brian Paul.
I'm Desra.
And we'll see you next week.